Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here at the WSAZ Plus desk on this Sunday evening. I'm Taylor Eaton, bringing you the very latest on the icy conditions that we are seeing all across the region tonight. We've got our full team still here on staff working to bring you updates. We'll be on at 10 and 11, but we wanted to hop on here one more time before then to give you an update on what we will see in the overnight hours for those of you that now we're heading into a week and maybe you've got to go back to work or you're going to attempt to try to make your way in the morning. We'd like to keep you as safe as possible. That's the goal. So we're going to have meteorologist Nicholas Snider joining us here in a moment. Real quick, though, Tim, give him a wave.
Yo.
Hey, Tim's up here, too, hanging out before we go on at 10 and 11.
Just eating crackers.
Right. Just refueling.
Yeah.
Before we hop on again. So Tim's hanging out up here. We'll join Nicholas here in just a moment. Real quick, though, I want to give you an update on what we're seeing across the region because we still have all sorts of power outages that we're dealing with here this evening. So many of you may be watching with us here on streaming. So we'd like to give you an update on what crews are doing to try to restore power. It's likely going to be days and days before crews can get everyone back on the grid. We saw all day long, Luke Hamilton was reporting from different scenes in Kanawha County in the red, one of the hardest hit in West Virginia. Trees down everywhere, bringing down power lines. And with the terrain, it's very difficult in those instances to try to find the root of the problem oftentimes. And with that thick ice, we expect more and more of those limbs will come down and maybe cause some more problems here in the days to come as far as power outages. But we've actually seen this number come down a good bit. Earlier today, we were well above 20,000 people in Kanawha County that were without power. Now that's down to about 16,000, and we've seen great improvements, for instance, in places like Wayne County, Logan. I want to click over here. There we go, Lincoln. There were a lot of people without power here earlier today. Now that number at about 1,700. So that's the latest as far as West Virginia. I'll head over to Kentucky Power. Very little issues that we're seeing here with Kentucky Power. 13 without in Pike, Floyd, 40. So the numbers, far less in Kentucky as far as that goes. Same in Ohio. You can see fewer than 5 customers without in Lawrence County, Gallia 11. So those issues will likely be a little bit quicker to fix. But really, West Virginia, one of the hardest hit areas. And for parents, I'd like to remind you about that school closings list here. Let me go back over and show you that. There we go. So this is updated here at the moment, and we will be scrolling these across the bottom of the screen come 10 and 11. But be sure to check because there's a huge list right now, and I'm willing to bet that that's going to be the case even in the days to come this week, maybe even into next week because these temperatures aren't going to go above freezing anytime soon. And on that note, I'd like to get over to meteorologist Nicholas Snider, who is joining me live here on WSAZ Plus. Let me get Nick pulled up here. There we go. All right, Nick, can you hear me? I just want to make sure.
I can certainly hear you, Taylor.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's gotten cold. I can attest to that.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I'm sure.
Has passed through the area, and, temperatures just continue to drop over the region. And that's causing a refreeze of that slush that you mentioned earlier. It's just a solid sheet of ice. I want to step over to this part of the parking lot that we're in. Notice that shine right there. That is really, really icy. You can kind of just slide along the ice just like that. And you mentioned the power outs. The reason Ohio, Taylor, is not dealing with so many power outs is because they saw mostly snow and sleet out of this event, whereas areas in Kentucky and West Virginia, they saw more of that freezing rain. So that's why so many of those trees and power lines have come down. I've seen multiple reports come in even in the evening hours of today where, let's say, even up in Greenup and Boyd counties where they haven't been hit quite as hard from the ice storm, they're still seeing trees and limbs come down as we speak. Luke Hamilton had a great point at a 6 o'clock hour where people just kept hearing trees come down even after this event has passed. So, it's not the best situation, especially in the coal fields. And with the temperatures dropping with those power outages, I am getting very concerned about hypothermia and things like that. People, we were talking about this days and days in advance. People had to find a stay warm if you were in the coal fields because that's where we were expecting a big-time ice storm. And we got that big-time ice storm right there in the coal fields, and now many people are out of power, especially Kanawha County, Boone County, Logan County, places like that. I really, really hope that generators are working, at least battery-powered heaters are working, because overnight tonight and especially overnight tomorrow night into Tuesday morning, you're talking dangerous cold. If you remember back to the ice storms back in 2021 that we did have, we had a fatality in Greenup County because power was out for so long. An Arctic air mass came in behind that storm, and one woman just died of hypothermia because she had no power, she had no way to keep herself warm. So this situation is happening once again, and hopefully, a lot of these people who don't have power down into the coal fields have a way to stay warm, especially tomorrow night into Tuesday when those temperatures get below zero for a lot of us.
Yeah, and that's the absolute last thing that we would want out of this. We want everyone to stay safe, and this is a good reminder on that note, Nick, for us to be neighborly in this situation. If you know of people that live near you and maybe their family's not close by, or they live alone if they're older, just go over and check on them. Make sure that they're all right. This is the time for us to be doing that. And Nick, I'm kind of trying to eyeball. Tony has his graphics pulled up here in the weather system. I'm trying to look at radar. Are we expecting any more snowfall tonight that would add another layer on top of this? I don't see any where you are, but it looks as though there may be a few areas that are still getting some light snow here this evening.
Yeah, and we are seeing a few flakes trying to fly, just some light flurries here or there. I do anticipate there's a little disturbance kind of moving on in with the Arctic air, and that's going to kind of lift up some of the lingering moisture that's overhead. So I do anticipate a few more snow showers through the overnight, which could add maybe an inch or two of snow on top of what we already have. But pretty much, as far as snow accumulations go, the major accumulations are pretty much done. But again, don't be surprised if tomorrow morning we see a slick inch or two of that snow. But the main issue, again, is that slushiness that's refreezing into ice. The sheet of ice that has fallen over in the Kanawha Valley and into the coal fields with that freezing rain that we did see this morning. So just take your time tomorrow morning if you do have to go to work. I know this morning it was a blessing that this storm came over a weekend, because if this came, one day later, we're talking about a lot bigger problems than what we saw this morning with everybody going to work and the morning rush and things like that. So tomorrow, just take your time. It will be very slick, even with crews treating the roadways. Salt does not work in temperatures below 20 degrees, and it's going to be well below 20 degrees. In fact, it's below 20 degrees right now where we are in Wheelersburg. So it's going to be a rough morning for sure for a lot of us. Just take your time, though. As long as you're taking it slow, you should be fine on the roads.
Yeah, but the real tough part about this, Nick, we said, unfortunately, is just the fact that warm area just seemed like set up shop right over top of us for hours on end today, and really created kind of that, no pun intended, but perfect storm for us to get all of this ice, and that is going to be such a challenge in the days to come to navigate. If you don't mind, Nick, share with us your experience. I know that you all have been traveling all over the place, and I know it was hard for you to see over your shoulder. Tim and I were pointing out, we did see an ODOT truck that took off behind you, so they're at least still hard at work. We're hearing 12-hour shifts that they're working to try to keep the roads at least passable for drivers. So what's been your experience as you've been out on the roads this evening?
Yeah, well, I can tell you this morning, everything was a mess. I mean, my photographer, Ben, and I, and our reporter, Andrew Colgrove, we went down to Lawrence County, Kentucky, and it was a sheet of ice all the way there, and especially all the way back. We were sliding on the roadways, even with crews. We did see a few crews out there, but when freezing rain is coming down at a rate that's very heavy, that really kind of nullifies what the crews are doing out there, right? So it was a very, very tricky morning this morning. Now, things really improved once we got the freezing rain to turn into rain into the afternoon. Once those temperatures got above freezing, things got a lot better, especially Lawrence County, Ohio. That's where most of the non-frozen precipitation in Ohio did fall. We went up to Lucasville, though. They stayed mostly sleet and snow. They got quite a bit more snow. A lot of the roads up there are pretty snow covered, and if you turn off a main road, let's say you're turning off Route 23 going to a side road, you got to be very, very careful, because there's a thick layer of snow kind of covering the road from where the plows kind of move it off to the side onto the side road. We saw multiple side roads we could have turned on, and I was talking to my photographer, Robbie, and I was like, do you think we can make this turn? And we were able to make the turn, thankfully, because we have all-wheel drive, and Robbie's a great driver, so he was able to push through it. But other people, I would not be surprised if they got stuck in some of those heavier spots of snow. That was up in Lucasville. Now down here in Wheelersburg, again, we're more into that more iciness. They saw a little bit of freezing rain a little bit earlier on today. So I think it's a little more icy down here as opposed to up in Lucasville, where they remain mostly sleet and snow. So it kind of depends on where you are, but no matter what, you're going to be dealing with slick travel as you're waking up tomorrow morning. So again, especially if you were in that icy area, if you're basically in the coal fields up to, let's say, Lawrence County, Ohio, parts of Gallia County, Ohio, places like that, that's where you're going to be really dealing with a lot of slick travel tomorrow morning.
All right. Nick, before we let you go, what's your family in Cleveland saying? What are they seeing?
Well, so I actually have family all over Ohio. So
Okay.
my mom is from the Dayton area, so she
Gotcha.
has a sister in Dayton. She also has a sister in Columbus. So
Oh, okay.
both of my aunts, I guess, shared pictures with me. They got over a foot in both Dayton and Columbus
wow.
of snow. And then my mom shared a picture with me up in northern Ohio. They're not getting quite as much as central and southern Ohio got.
Okay.
But southwest Ohio, central Ohio is like the epicenter of where all this snow fell. We got 12 to 18 inches from Cincinnati through Dayton all the way to Columbus. They're going to get maybe 8 or 10 inches of snow up in the Cleveland area. It's still not done up in the Cleveland area, though. My mom did measure about 6 or 7 inches of snow earlier on this afternoon. I would imagine they're closer to the 10-inch range now. But,
Wow.
yeah, they saw quite a bit more snow than we did down here. But, of course, we had to deal with arguably bigger impacts with that ice, for sure.
Oh, no doubt about that. Yeah. All right. Well, Nick, we appreciate you being here on WSAZ Plus. You've been playing double duty for us, kind of reporting and letting us know what's going on with the weather. But overnight and the morning is still going to be challenging, no doubt about that. But we appreciate you joining us here, and we'll see you at 10 and 11.
Thanks, Taylor.
All right. Hey, thank you. All right. So that was our reporter, Nick Snider. I say reporter. He's reporting for us now, but meteorologist who's been tracking this storm. And, our whole team has just done a really great job of keeping us informed of this whole thing. Tim, I don't know if you couldn't hear Nick.
No, what did he say about Cleveland?
Well, he said they got way more snow than we did. I don't know if that microphone's working.
We can try it.
No, it's not. No, for some reason that other camera over there, I can't get it to work. That one over there is working.
Okay.
Hop over there.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to get Tim on here with us. Well, he said Cleveland got a whole lot more snow than we did. He said he said Nick's got family all over. Hold on one second, everyone. Let me get.
In Pittsburgh, my brother said that. I think they had like 20 inches.
Hold on, I got to get your camera.
Oh yeah, here. I can shrink down.
No. Oh, there. There we go. Casual Tim.
Laid back.
No, he said they got a whole lot more than we did.
Yeah.
Snow.
Yeah, that's
So.
what my brother said about Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
They got nailed, like 20 inches of snow.
Jeez.
Plus, all three rivers are now at least partially frozen over in Pittsburgh. So, like bank to bank, not solid, but really chunky. And some areas on the Allegheny River are solid. The Monongahela is not completely solid yet.
Yeah.
Of course, that flows, south to north. That's one
Right.
of those crazy rivers that goes from Morgantown up to Pittsburgh. But,
Yeah.
But it's going to be before the end of this week. We know that that's going to be solid bank to bank.
Yeah.
And all of that ice eventually, and this is what Tony likes to point out, all of that ice eventually makes its way from Pittsburgh down the Ohio River, and it has an impact on our river water here and our river levels here.
Do you remember growing up in the Pittsburgh area, like any storms that stand out to you?
Yeah.
That are really memorable?
Yeah, definitely. I was telling Tony that my memories of my parents had Steeler tickets, season tickets, and my mom would always go when the games were nice, but when the weather was lousy, she'd be like, "Oh, just let Timmy go." So, because Timmy was the last one left.
Did you always go?
6. So all of my time was spent. All my Steeler memories are bad weather. It was either raining, or cold and raining, or snowing. All of the Steeler games that I went to were bad weather because those were the ones my mom wouldn't go to unless it was the playoffs, and she'd make an
And then she-
exception.
okay.
She'd go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a lot of memories of severe weather having to do with growing up. But when I was a really small child in the late 1970s, I remember the winters being brutal, and I was talking with Tony about that, and he said, well, in 1977, and I don't necessarily remember it per se, but I remember, the history of talk about it, but the rivers froze over in 1977 in Pittsburgh, bank to bank. All three rivers froze over. People could walk out, ice fish, do whatever. Like, it was frozen solid, all three rivers in Pittsburgh. It was so cold, so then this became a discussion, as siblings go.
Yeah.
And so my sister Nancy, on this siblings thread, my sister Nancy, who lives in Orlando and is, very happy to live there. Yeah,
rub
she
it
says,
in.
I remember that time, gas rationing. I was not driving yet. No, she wasn't, because she was a little older than I was, but we were small kids at the time. But she said she remembers there was gas rationing, and I do remember that. In the 1970s, we stayed home from grade school in several weeks during the winter because President Carter at the time had declared an energy crisis, it was called. It was called the energy crisis. It was on the news every night. You'd watch like Walter Cronkite doing the news every night. And I remember all the talk of it. And we were away from school for like 2 weeks. And this had nothing to do with the pandemic. This purely had to do with the fact that there was an energy crisis. There was a fear that there wasn't enough, especially gas, natural gas, and coal, because of the everything was frozen. Literally, like tracks were frozen. It was crazy how cold it was. And I remember the snow piles. And probably because when you're a little kid, it was like, well, it's 10 feet tall. Well,
Oh, yeah.
I was shorter. But I do remember we actually had huge amounts of snow. And I remember because I was the guy who had to use the snowblower. I was enough of age that I had to shovel and use the snowblower. So some really big memories of some really big storms and some very, very cold weather. So this is, what we're going through. Little kids will remember for the rest of their lives.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You bring up, I don't know why it made me think of it. It's just, I'm like, I'm not built for that kind of activity.
I'm not built for the cold.
Well, I try to be, but no, you mentioned ice fishing,
Yes.
and my dad and I, we always take a yearly fishing trip, but we
You
do it
guys
in
do, yeah.
we do it in the spring. But the part of Michigan that we go to,
Still cold.
oh my God, well, the lake freezes over, and ice fishing is a big thing, and I'm like, I'm just not built for that. Like, they'll take out huts and everything, and I'm
they
like,
do.
no, I'll wait till spring till it gets warm.
Yeah, it makes a little more sense. Like,
Ugh.
but people, from those northern areas, they just,
It's
I
part,
think I was,
it's part of it.
I think I was tougher when I lived in Pittsburgh, because when my parents were still alive and we go up to Pittsburgh and make the trip, I remember our daughters would always say, they'd say, does it snow ever? Does it just always snow in Pittsburgh? Because every time we visited during the wintertime, it was always snowing.
Right.
Does it just always snow in Pittsburgh? We were like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, they ended up with 20 inches on the ground. They had none of the ice, and the difference was that warm wedge that they were talking about that made its way from down south and pushed its way into our area, that led to all this freezing rain and then straight up rain, and is going to create a monster of a mess over the next 2 weeks around here with the solid freezing. They didn't get that. They just had straight up snow. And so we wish we would have had snow, but that wedge kind of ruined it for us, from what the meteorologist said. Because snow would have been much easier to take care of and than this ice. This ice is going to be a real problem. It's going to be the big story we talk about for at least the foreseeable future, at least the next week, according to our meteorologists.
Right. And, Nick talked about this. He said, not to say that timing was perfect, but at least it happened over the weekend. If this would have happened smack dab in the middle of the week.
Good point.
So we at least had the weekend to try to get through this and give crews a little bit of time to work. But there are some people that are going to have to return to work tomorrow for some reason, if they were off for the weekend. And so it may be their first time encountering all of this, and it's going to be tricky travel. No doubt.
By the time it gets to, whatever temperature, it's going to be, temperatures in the single digits. I think tonight it's going to be a low of about 15 or something like that, in the teens. And that's going to be at about the warmest low temperature that we have over the next 10 to at least until
Right.
early February. I mean, so we're talking about a long time, a long period of prolonged cold that will lead to frozen ponds, frozen this, frozen that, and mainly frozen roads. So if you live in an area that hasn't been plowed yet, talk to your municipality. We were looking at Huntington, and we were hoping that the streets in Huntington, you and I saw the plows earlier tonight.
Right.
We're
Well-
hoping that that continues on all, because some of the streets, and these are main city streets, just have, I mean, they're in terrible shape right now. If the plows don't get that stuff off the road soon, it'll be too late.
Well, and let me say this, obviously main roads, the priority roads, interstates,
course.
highways,
Yeah.
those look a lot better than,
Oh, yeah.
the side streets and everything. But
Yeah.
if you have a small car that sits low to the ground,
Ain't going nowhere.
no way. Because think about it, even today, we were in four-wheel drive and we were in an SUV
Oh,
that
yeah.
sat up, and we were encountering those snowbanks that had frozen over.
Yeah.
And I mean, you just, have to.
Had to get it run.
You do, yeah.
Yeah,
And
right.
so if you're,
in a four-wheel drive that does have clearance.
Right.
That station car we were driving. So you're right. If you don't have the right kind of vehicle, you're going to be out of luck.
right, yeah. Well, as Tim mentioned, this is one that we're following for quite some time. It really will be the story of the week and into next week, because the temperatures, I think, we're like our overnight lows several days this week, I think, are hitting at like 0.
0 and below 0
below,
in some places,
yeah.
and in some places. And when you talk about towns like mountain towns like Richwood and Summersville,
Mm-hmm.
places like that, they're going to be well below 0 because it's always colder. And then you talk about mountaintops,
Right.
and forget it. That's people who have ski trips planned. And this, tis the season for that, for your ski trips to be planned. If you better make sure that you're protected against frostbite, because if you're out on the slopes
Mm-hmm.
even for a little bit, and you don't even have to be out on the slopes. If you're in an area that's around 0 over the next couple weeks, if you're out at night, you could potentially suffer from frostbite.
Right.
And not to mention hypothermia, which in worst cases. So it's going to be a dangerous time, and it's going to be something that we talk about. We'll be doing a lot of stories about the effects of cold on our bodies, because we're not used to, Winnipeg temperatures, and that's what it's going to feel like.
Well, and also this is the time to be thinking about, I know everybody's hopefully, when they're thinking about heating their homes, they're
Yeah.
doing it safely.
Yeah.
But, might put the faucet on, let it drip, a little bit, because
At
otherwise.
least open the cabinets down
Yeah.
below if you have,
Allow
if you
some
have little
airflow
doors
to
that
'em.
clo- Let some airflow into them. Be careful with those space heaters. Make sure space heaters are not plugged into extension cords. Firefighters
Bingo.
will tell you this all the time. Number one rule: don't plug your space heater into an extension cord. Plug it straight into the wall. So,
Yeah.
really good tips out there.
Oh, yeah.
That can be life-saving tips. So
Yeah.
make sure to heed what firefighters tell you.
Yep. Well, I'm trying to watch the time, Tim, because it's 9:30.
We have to go do. 10
We got
o'clock
some. We
news,
got
don't
something we got to do here in a few minutes.
We have to do 10 o'clock news, an hour long at 10 on the Tri-State
Yep.
CW, and then 11 o'clock. Do you feel like I'm like horning in on your territory?
No, I
Because
just.
this is all you now.
No.
Yeah,
I just feel. I
this
feel
is
like.
all you. It's
No,
like
you're just getting back into the
Taylor
groove of
Eaton
it.
show.
Stop it. No, you're. I feel like. Are you not back in your element at 10 and 11?
No,
No.
You know what? It's 9:26.
You're ready to go to
You
bed.
know what Jimmy always says? Jimmy getting CP. I'm getting tired. Because I've gotten used to.
You're already.
day
Yeah,
shift
you're already
now.
in bed.
So I'm used to. But it's fine. I can rally. A little more coffee, rolling and ready to go. And so thank you for allowing me to invade your
Stop,
space
no.
on the Taylor Eaton shows. We have to come up with a jingle.
Well, I guess can
Taylor
I?
Eaton show. I don't know, some kind of jingle. There's got to be a jingle for you.
Should I let our viewers in on like an inside WSAZ thing? Might as well. Okay.
as well.
So the name of this program has changed a few times. We used to call this OTT when we first launched. What
Over
was
the
that?
top.
Yeah.
OTT, over the top, it stood for.
How long ago was that? 5 or 6 years ago? I can't believe
Yeah,
that.
something like that.
Right. And
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah.
the
It
old
was
system
before COVID.
Well, the old system
Yeah.
was totally different, and so we've had to kind of relearn, put the training wheels back on for this one. And this one, admittedly, it's a lot nicer.
And this is a better place.
It sure is, yeah.
This is a much better place.
But you talk about like a jingle and coming up with it. They used to say OTT stood for only Tay Tay. so there you
And
have
if
it.
you don't know who
Now-
Tay Tay is, it's Taylor Eaton.
So-
Tay Tay.
Yeah, we let you in on a little inside secret.
Only Tay Tay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you get when you join us here. So.
Yeah. But then Tay Tay let I don't know, Tim do it. So then it became OTT. That was at night. So
Yeah.
I did that. But now, like I said, this is your territory now. I'm allowed to just come in and just breathe your air. This is yours. This is all yours now.
You need some sleep.
Is that what's happening? Am I getting delirious?
Maybe we both are. Well, on that
Yeah.
note, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we just need more caffeine to get us through.
good idea,
But
yeah.
on a serious note, we hope everyone at home is staying safe. That's the ultimate
A lot
goal
of
here.
power
That's
outages in Kanawha County.
that's
and
why we're here, yeah.
That's the thing where, the danger
Yeah.
lies in not having heat at your home and being without power. And hopefully AEP can get those people back on in Kanawha County who have been knocked off because, yeah. I remember when that happened several years ago, and we had the power outages here, and we were, we had the kids, and we were like the dogs, and we're all bundled up under the blankets trying to stay warm.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody sleeping on the big sofa together. You did what you could with,
Right.
But it was cold. It was very, very cold.
I remember, I think when that one happened, I think it was almost 2 weeks before I
Yeah.
finally got power back on.
Yeah.
That
It was a
was
challenge.
a real challenge. Yeah, and just incredibly dangerous. And this is kind of setting up the same way. So,
Yep.
yeah, if you're watching with us through streaming right now, if this is your only way of getting us, we'll be here in the days ahead. We'll be doing this tomorrow, Tuesday,
Yeah.
Wednesday,
We'll be back.
Thursday,
And
Friday.
thanks for
yeah.
watching. Thanks for joining us.
Oh
Miguel.
yeah, we appreciate it. Yep.
appreciate
So we're now 9:30, so we're just 30 minutes away from being on Tri-State CW, and then 11 p.m. on WSAZ. So
Yep.
we'll see you there.
See you then.
Bye, everyone.